that, getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Welcome, race fans, to the start of another thrilling season of the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Series. Round 1 is coming to you live on slow motion broadcasting. Today we're in the heart of Germany at the technical and twisty motorsport arena Oschersleben, a circuit renowned for its tight corners, minimal elevation changes, and an unforgiving layout. Today's race will absolutely require precision to find yourself on the podium at the end of this 20-minute race event, and as you can see, we are certainly dealing with wet conditions. Motorsport Arena Oschersleben is a 14-corner, 2.29-mile road course, opened in 1997 and the fourth permanent built course in Germany. This track is always a true test of rhythm and racecraft, and today's field of rising stars in the Sim Racers Group is more than ready to take on the challenge. I'm Kennen Miller on the call, alongside me is Coyle, and these beautiful images are being produced by Joshua Wilkie. Last season ended with intense competition with many drivers returning. The field looks to be as tight as it's ever been. So Dylan, what are you expecting from this first race of the season?
Hello. Yes, I'm very much looking forward to the chaos that we are about to see. You know, Oschersleben is a really solid racetrack, and it's relatively new, all things considered. Only around 30 years old, which I'd say in motorsport is very, very young. And these F4 cars are going to be doing a lot of dangerous maneuvering through this relatively flat racetrack through this race tonight. We've got around 10 minutes left in qualifying. Already a car in the gravel traps. This is going to be chaos. I mean, I'm thinking about the starting grid. How are these drivers going to be able to see and get off the line?
Absolutely. It's been a very wet race. I don't think much of the drivers were quite expecting it. It was considered to be unlikely, but clearly the unlikely has happened, and it is very damp conditions. You can really see the heavy puddling. It's going to be difficult looking to find a proper dry line. We did have newcomer Max Lotto actually at the top of the board in our practice session. We're now about 10 minutes remaining into the qualifying session, and he's yet to turn a time, so clearly having a little bit of struggle out there. But a lot of our returners we see back up front finished off with great season last season, and Jacob Guyton, Ryan Chia, David Hirsch, all in the top 5 in the points, looking to make another run this season.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about last season. I know you were obviously very close to everything that was happening there. We're entering season 1 of 2026, and yes, if you look at your calendar right now, it is not 2026 just yet, but for naming purposes, that's what we're in.
Yeah, absolutely, and there's certainly some drivers to note. Adam Duvall, last season's champion. We'll see him from time to time in races. I don't know if he'll be here tonight, but he's certainly going to make a run to try and take some wins from these newer drivers. And then we've got 4 new drivers, possibly 5. We've got Chris Yee, Max Lotto, Brian Rice, and Isaac Amman, who actually did do a few of the races at the end of Season 4 2025. So all of them showed a lot of speed. I expect them to really improve. And then from time to time, I believe he is racing tomorrow in the Formula 4 series, but James McDonald will be able to make an appearance with us. So the Sim Racers group really does a great job of finding new drivers and really building their community, and it's what really creates such good racing, as we see Brian Rice really fighting the offline there, dealing with a lot of traffic from the car in front of him. So it's going to be an action-packed race. I think there's going to be a lot of questions. A lot of the rain really presents many issues for the drivers oftentimes, so we will see a little bit of contact, a little bit of slipping and sliding, which brings me to my next point. The Formula 4 series and the competition directors have actually implemented an entirely new penalty system, which may not play out too much in today's race, but as the season gets on can really create some consequences for the drivers. They've implemented a 0-point to 5-point penalty system, and that's going to be just depending on whether it's a wheel-to-wheel contact or something more egregious, such as a dive bomb, and that will be reviewed after every race. And as the points are accumulated, you can find yourself starting from pit lane all the way to even maybe missing a race. So that's kind of something that's really new. The drivers wanted it. They wanted to see a little more on-track marshaling and making sure everybody's staying square in what they're doing. So we'll kind of see how that kind of affects the season. I'm kind of most curious about that because that can really affect the playoff race at the end.
Indeed it could, but we are getting a really good look right here at what an onboard lap looks like. Oh, just trailing behind another car, going off track in that final quarter right there. That's not a great lap. I believe that's Jacob Guyton right there, but back on track and things are okay. Hey, when you're up in P1, you can afford to take a few risks, as David Hirsch, currently P4. That's who we're watching right now in that green and white machine. Off into the gravel trap. Anything producer Joshua Wilkie does, anyone he shows has a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of the curse of the director at the moment, but David Hirsch still sitting pretty good in 4th place, and Jacob Guyton has improved 0.6 off of his best practice time, so he clearly found a good line. The rain is still coming down a lot, but I don't know if possibly the conditions of the track may be playing a little bit into finding a little more time. There's still a few names. Traber Burns, also a new driver to the league. He's still 0.9 off, which really, considering the rain, I don't think is too big of a gap, as we'll kind of see. But just over 5 minutes remaining in qualifying. This is where we'll see the best drivers turn out the best times. It always makes for an interesting race here. The open qualifying just creates a lot of issues in finding space, finding a gap, and when you include the rain into it, as you can see, it's just absolutely pouring into the cockpit of Sir Vase as he's getting ready to come through 13 and 14. He just has to take that wide line all the way around. You can really see the reflections are very heavy on the pavement, and yeah, it just runs him wide. Even when you're in the best line, there's not much more track that he can look to go for there. So we're really in for a wet and wild one here today, I think, at the Oschersleben.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know, we're talking about that 9/10 of a second gap. But racing in the rain really does test a driver's skill to the utmost. And if you're following in behind another car, obviously these F4 cars are not going to be as aerodynamically sensitive as you might see with an F1 car of sorts or the like. It still will have to deal with dirty air, as we see right there. Brian Rice got off that relatively dry line and just kind of stayed in the wet too much, so got him off track through that chicane in that final sector of Oschersleben circuit. Nonetheless, right, trying to follow in behind other cars is going to be quite challenging. You still have to deal with the aerodynamic, that downforce, that grip. Mechanical grip is almost nullified because of the wet weather, even with the wet tires on. You know, there are so many variables at play, but 9/10 of a second is the difference between first and second. Between first and 10th is 4.3 seconds. Between first and 15th, the last timed driver. No one else has set a valid time yet, and there are quite a few of them who have not. That is 10 seconds, as we see a pass during qualifying right there by Walker Fultz will not be denied.
Yeah, Walker Fultz making a very dangerous move. Obviously a little quicker, it seems, as they're on probably one of their final 2 hot laps that they'll be able to make. And that turn 3, the last time that we were here, I believe it was 2 seasons ago, it was also a wet race and presented a lot of issues to the drivers. That inside curbing really likes to hold and puddle the water, and it just never seemed to improve no matter how much tires you ran through it. So that's certainly an issue, but you see Walker Fultz having to do what he can. He's broken away a little bit from Albert Diaz and kind of putting on a decent little lap. I do think one other thing worth mentioning, it's always an issue as they're running down the backstretch. These next 2 corners are going into 11 and 12. It's difficult even when it's dry, but you'll see here if they get just a little bit off into that green paint, it's very easy to find yourself obtaining an off track, and that disqualifies your time. I have a feeling that's what we're seeing on a lot of these laps. They're making clean laps, but just a little wide in one section is not allowing them to really complete the full lap. So pretty good gap between the top 8 right now, almost 3 seconds of separation. I don't expect it to be that far away once we actually get racing. There will be a little cat and mouse of being able to utilize the car in front of you to kind of guide your braking points when we do get to racing. But there we see Walker Fultz improving his time, gets himself in the top 10 with a 140.212. So decent improvement. He clearly scraps that lap. He may try and go back to the pits and go one more. One other thing with this Formula 4 series is as long as you take the green flag before the checkered is out, your lap will count. So we can see qualify extended by about a minute or 2 while drivers try and inch out everything they can to get one good hot lap.
If we see it go to 2 minutes, that's when it gets a little bit too slow. You know, 1 minute's incredible. You'd be a plus 36 over the rest of the field. 2 minutes, oh, you're in the back of the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. And there we see Max Linlado still unable to produce a time on the board, which is quite interesting. He really showed some speed in practice. I was kind of marking him down on my pin that this is a newcomer we're going to have to really watch out for, but so far looking like he may have a really difficult starting position when we get to the race time. It is a 20-minute race coming up, and that always goes by a lot quicker than it seems. It very much is a sprint race, and starting position will certainly play a big part in how you can get through the field.
Indeed it will, as we continue to see some of these drivers make their way through the circuit. Michael Hun right now is way down on the leaderboard, 10 seconds back of Jacob Guyton in 16th place, but this looks to be a little bit better of a lap time so far. We'll have to see exactly what it does come down to as he goes down this long backstretch, going towards that Shell-esque curve, turn 11 and 12. It's kind of a long style chicane in a higher powered car. Goodness me, they'd make their way through that so quickly. Here in the wet, though, we're not seeing it managed so quickly. This should be a decent lap, I feel.
Yeah, it looks like you got through quickly. I had a couple personal bests through the sectors. Didn't purple, but I do expect to see an improvement on the time as we see him coming through the front stretch. We'll keep an eye on the board. And he does. What a lap. A 139.647. Best to knock Walker Fultz out of the top 10 and put himself into 9th position. So we are starting to see the lap times pick up, although the rain is really coming down. And there's Max Lotto. I knew he'd get on the board, drops himself into 7th with a 138.312. So we're really starting to see qualifying kind of come to an end. Traber Burns trying to maybe make one more run. He didn't have it, so he's pulling into pit lane as well. So looks like maybe we've kind of got everybody finished up here. Possibly Ryan Chi is on a lap, but we'll wait to confirm on that. But you're absolutely right, Dylan. These cars, they're just over 1,200 pounds. It's only 160 horsepower. They really can create some power when it comes to dry tracks. When it really comes to the wet, you just have to really feather the throttle. It's so easy to lose them. These cars do have front and rear wings, but they're really only so much benefit compared to some of your Formula 3, Formula 2 style cars. So it's really much more of a driver's car and just being able to manage keeping it all from underneath you.
Yeah, 100%. You know that this race is going to be quite interesting. Had 17 drivers set lap times so far. Albert Diaz goes for a little bit of a spin, gets himself reasserted going the right way, but I do think that, well, this isn't really going to be a lap time that counts for anything. It's just style points now. But we should have a field of over 20 cars in the race tonight. At least that's who's registered for it and went through the practice session. But yeah, only 17 has set a valid lap time. It's going to be difficult to make their way through the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And the 3 drivers, Christopher Yee, Rudy Samudio, and Ken Glass, are all putting up fair 139, 140 practice times, but did not complete any in qualifying, whether that is maybe a strategy for this rain race to not get yourself into the midst of what could potentially be a mess as we get into turn 1. But quite interesting, 3 of the cars weren't able to get a qualifying time in, although we do expect to see them on the grid. So quite an interesting qualifying session. It actually really tightened up at the top. The top 3 are all separated within 1 second of each other. So I do expect this to still be anybody's race potentially. We always see with these rain races here how much just getting offline, trying to make a pass, brings you right into a mistake and off the course you go. So we'll get the starting results up here in a moment and we'll run you through the grid. So there it is, our pole sitter, Jacob Guyton with a 136.028. Starting alongside him, Greg Meyer in second. Traber Burns, Jose Navas leading out row 2. Ryan Chia, David Hirsch in row 3. Max Lotto pulling off a late lap run, and David Borden taking row 4. Aaron Van Wagner, good to see him back. Also next to Michael Wynn with a good run, taking up row 5. And Sarv Vase and Walker Fultz will round out the top 12 of this grid. And we've got Brian Rice and Jason Trantham 13th, 14th, Shane Chung 15th, 16th, Bob Eagert 17th, and Rudy Samudio 18th. Rounding off the final 3 spots on the grid, Cy Nathan, Ken Glasser, and Christopher Yee, which I would maybe circle them for a potential of a hard charger award today. So everybody's looking to line up on the grid. We can hear the motors revving. It's going to be a wild one. It seems like maybe a little bit between the transition, a little bit of time in the Sims Pass. Then it's kind of got a little blue skies maybe showing up in the background, Dylan. I think we're going to have a pretty good race once we see these lights go off.
Yeah, this is going to be quite an interesting run to turn number 1. A 90-degree left-hander. I do see those blue skies that you're talking about right there. Not so sure how quickly they will make an appearance or how impactful it will be as we hear the revving.
Yeah, it looks like we're just about 10 seconds from the lights getting ready to come on. You can kind of have to wonder with Greg Meyer starting on that left-hand side. He's almost got the faster line, depending on how the rubber lay down. Obviously not much with the wet, but it'll be interesting to see if he can get any kind of charge into turn 1, maybe contest to him side by side. So here we are. The lights are getting ready to come on any moment now. You can hear all the revs coming up to high RPMs. Just waiting to drop that clutch. And the lights are off, away we go. Everybody looks to get a clean start. You can see Guyton covers over Greg Meyer. Greg Meyer having a kind of handle, and then you've got the 2 cars behind him looking to maybe make a press of Traber Burns and Jose Navas, but everybody's slowing down, getting through pretty easy. Greg Meyer follows in line.
Oh, we've got a spin in the back.
Leader. Yeah, there is a little bit of damage. Oh, and there's a car off to the side. I can't quite tell who that is, but we do have a little bit of an instant we'll have to catch up on about back to midfield, but so far clean through the top 10, and we'll have to come back to that. So top 10 looks to get through clean. Everybody is really single filing out. I think everybody wants to play it safe. It is a 20-minute race, but you can certainly lose it right away. So it's going to be quite an interesting pack. What do you think of that start, Dylan?
I mean, oh, look at that. We've got a spin from a driver in the top 5. Was that Jose Navas? Yes, it was. That is an off-track experiment right there. Almost gets back on, right in the path of another driver flying through. Oh, my goodness. Let's take a look at the replay right now. Lost it under his own power.
Yeah, Jose Navas, usually one of the more Mr. Consistency types of guys on the grid. He took it pretty clean through turn 1, didn't go anywhere aggressive, but just finds himself in the slick part of going through the triple corner of 4, 5, and 6, and around he goes. So back up front, we see Guyton coming along, and there's Greg Myers still right behind him, only 3/10 behind. That's looking to shape up to be a nice race, and there's Ryan Chia getting passed by Traber Burns. So they're still quite close together as they're coming through 13 and 14 to complete the opening lap. There's certainly quite a bit going on, and there's Shane Chung running it a little wide coming through 13. So drivers fighting for grip a lot here. It's certainly difficult to run side by side, but overall I'd say that was quite a good opening lap. I think we're settling in for quite an awesome race. And
yeah, that was a brutal start right there for a few drivers. Sorry to cut you off there, but we're riding on board with Jason Trantham right there. And, oh man, it's just so difficult, right, to go 2 wide, even 3 wide in these conditions. But we do have a fairly tight battle within the top 5. Oh, and that's a hard outside move. Gonna try and get the switch back right here, Kennen.
Yeah, Jason Trantham having quite a battle with Shane Chung, and there we see David Borden kind of pulling away from him there. And there goes Chung with a very tough move. Thankfully, no contact. And there goes David Borden slapping through the puddles. I mean, that is quite a good bit of car control. And Greg Myers off having an issue slow on the inside. So we'll have to go back and see what happened to Greg Meyer. It looks like he's just not getting the car back up to speed. Maybe he is now, but certainly had an issue, possibly a spin. And now we've got Max Linlato, who is leading the race, overtaking it from Jacob Guyton. I have a feeling we're going to review and possibly have some contact that happened there, racing for the lead. So Max Linlato able to have a nice start, get through to the front. But let's go back and cover some passes. Yeah, here's Max Linlato. Guyton driving slow. I wonder what the issue may have been there, but Max Linlato is going to not worry about it and just take it right through, really driving over those curbs. That puts him in such a risky position. It just gets so slick when you're offside the pavement and especially off the driver's line. So that is quite a move. Max Linlato now has a half-second gap over Jacob Guyton, Ryan Chia, Traber Burns, and David Borden are top 5 as you see them going down the front stretch.
Yeah, you know, whenever you try and go off the asphalt in wet weather conditions, obviously a dry line starts to form throughout the racing surface as Shane Chang goes off just a little bit and gets back onto the racing surface pretty clean, no harm, no foul. But whenever you go off of that asphalt, right, the tires are starting to form that dry line. They're starting to kind of dissipate the water onto the edges of the track. No one's going off onto the curbing, right? No one's going off to the off-circuit anything. So there's a spin in the back again from a driver in a high running position. It was Max Linlato is off.
Yeah, Max Linlato has gone off. He's tanking down, and then Shane Chung we saw lose the entire rear end. This has really turned into madness here. We'll have to go back and see. Max Linlato, I think, may still be stuck in the dirt. So here we are looking, our race leader, Max Linlato, just catches right on that puddle. We watched Chung have that same issue, and he had it again. But that is inside curbs. They really like to puddle up at this race course. They get really dipping. You see just a little too close. They always suggest with this wet weather tire, you kind of almost got to drive opposite of the true racing line, and you take a little too much, you kind of have to fight the consequences. And unfortunately, that's dropped him back all the way to 9th, out of the
not
lead.
Again.
And Chung around again through 11 and 12. So that's almond curve and the shell curve, which are just so difficult already in the pavement. And then we'll see Jose Navas kind of see if he maybe has an issue as well, closing in on the 6 car of Aaron Van Wagner and just run straight off. So drivers all over the place are just having issues with this wet condition track. It is almost just too challenging to really even be racing on, but they are doing it because this is some of the highest level drivers we have at the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Series. And just what madness we're kind of seeing. Ryan Chia has found himself in third. Traber Burns, and new fella to the series, running in second, still only within 3 seconds of Jacob Guyton. And as quick as mistakes happen, there's no reason we won't watch the top 5 kind of go topsy-turvy in a matter of moments all again.
Yeah, and we were looking back at the first couple of laps. Max Lotto was in the lead, overtook Jacob Guyton, but Guyton has just been on a roll the last couple of minutes, has just been out and away, clear as day. Well, it's not clear, right? It's wet weather conditions, it's rainy. So I retract my statement for now, but the blue skies have certainly started to appear at some sides of the racetrack. It does seem to be a drying track. It's not going to probably get to any moment where maybe there's a bit of crossover, at least for another, 5 to 6 minutes. And I just don't know what is going through these drivers' minds, right? We talk all the time, Kennen, about trying to deal with these conditions, as Vase has a bit of an off-track expenditure that needs to be taken care of. But we always talk about what's going through these drivers' heads in wet conditions, in wet to dry conditions. I can't even imagine trying to deal with what they're dealing with.
Yeah, certainly. And as we're on board, you can just see that heavy spray coming off of Aaron Van Wagner on the Max Lotto, and he's going to look outside, maybe take a little dive at him. Thinks a little better of it just because we are having the off conditions. Tries to maybe do a little reverse move, and that is pushing a little wide. And yeah, there goes Aaron Van Wagner, runs wide. A really clean move by Max Lotto to be able to kind of finesse his way around there. But you can just see the spray, the conditions. While it does look like we're getting a little bit of a dry line, there's so many different puddles and where the water's kind of almost crossing over that you still have to fight. I would think at this point, with the mistakes we kind of seen, you're just really going to have to sacrifice lap time in order to keep the car under you. I mean, spinning out's the worst way to lose time in this course. So I think the pace has kind of settled down. We're starting to see a little more gaps through the drivers. You see Lotto, he's having to take that wide outside line. You can see almost the separation where the real standing water is, and it is getting a little bit better, but we're just over halfway, coming up to 12 minutes remaining in this race. There's only so much time for this track to improve, so you kind of got what you got, and we'll just kind of have to see how things are playing out. The front has settled in a little bit, but Traber Burns has caught about 1.5 seconds on Guyton, so that lead is down to 1.5 seconds. So anything's really possible, and if you get confident, it may be easy to make a good jump as well.
Yeah, we're looking at around, I would say at this point, around 7 laps to go in this race, or I should say more like 8 laps to go in this race, depending on when they cross the stripe before that 20-minute mark does hit. Jacob Guyton, that 3-second advantage has definitely dissipated, but it's just the top 3 and a bit of a runaway. We're watching Aaron Van Wagner right now in P8. It's a whole barn burner back here at the lower end of the top 10 positions. These drivers, they're all about this infighting here. And honestly, they're giving us a lot of entertainment. But I will say, there has been a swap of positions in the lead of this race.
Yeah, Traber Burns has taken the lead from Jacob Guyton. Guyton is still 2 tenths within, and there we see them fighting nose to tail coming out of turn 7 and leading near into the back straightaway. Traber Burns just really put down some really good times, and you see Guyton really having to control that rear end. He is just lost a little bit of the handling, and Traber Burns has really just understood this track. He's really kind of starting to settle in as we're reaching the halfway point of it. It looks like he has now become the man to beat with a lot of confidence on this wet race course. So here we are. We'll look back at the pass for the lead coming up just right into turn 4, 5, 6. You can see Guyton almost backs out, like he knew what was coming. He thought better of it, didn't want to risk finding himself, and actually both cars having a little bit of an issue there and finding themselves into a little bit of a fight. So this thing is certainly far from over. We're just at the halfway point, and I think anybody in the top 5 could find themselves standing on this podium so far. Right now, Traber Burns is your leader. Jacob Guyton 1.3 seconds behind, followed by Ryan Chia, David Borden, and Max Lotto, all within the next 15 seconds behind him. So any kind of spin that we'll see the drivers have will certainly become an issue, and this is really just shaping up to possibly be a good finish. We do also see Greg Meyer getting by Michael Wynn, who has certainly had a very strong run today as they're trying to settle who will stay inside of the top 10.
Yeah, look at this replay right here with Greg Meyer making a good move. Kind of saw, right, that driver in front had a little bit of a slide out front coming around that final corner. It seems to be drivers are so used to taking that final corner, turn 14, in dry conditions where they really start to run out outside of the racing surface over across that curbing. And it's just way too wet right there to be able to do it comfortably and get the power down. Those rear wheels do not want to grip on that left side especially, of course, but if you dip both sides in there, you're asking for a lot of trouble. By the way, Traver Burns way out in front. Ryan Chia, very, very lonely kind of race right now for the driver in P3 in that number 9 machine.
Yeah, Ryan Chia did a really nice job last season. He's starting off again. He really was a mid-pack guy last season, and by the end of the season found himself running up and competing for wins. He certainly did quite well, and now looking at the bottom step of the podium is going to be a great start to his season. But you're absolutely right, Dylan. I think drivers, this track's only 2.29 miles. Really the only straightaways you have is the front straight and the one back straight running down to turn 11. So there's only so many opportunities to really maximize that top end speed in the wet. And just every little bit, maybe you get lucky pulling it over into the water and the car stays under you. You can really find a lot of valuable time. So see Greg Meyer taking a look on Aaron Van Wagner as we're coming back across the front stretch and might be able to make a move. We've seen some really good moves going into turn so far in turn 1 today with the kind of crossover, and Greg Meyer kind of looks to do the same thing. Van Wagner not making the same mistake twice, but Greg Meyer will slide underneath him and really does get him. I thought Aaron Van Wagner had quite a nice run and just did not quite have the handling on it on the exit. Greg Meyer is able to get by and take 7th.
Well, you know, sometimes we always have some great commentary to talk about, but at this current moment, having a couple technical difficulties, so we'll talk you through it. Been a really solid race so far. Obviously, we've had the rain really kind of show up as a difference maker for some drivers. With just around 7 minutes to go here, Kennen, I've been really, really impressed with how quick Burns has looked as he's gone out to P1.
Yeah, absolutely. He really kind of let himself settle in those first couple laps. And then once he could maybe feel that the wet tires were getting a little more optimal, he really turned up the heat and it's found himself 2.8 seconds ahead of Jacob Guyton right now. Guyton is still not far behind. He has an opportunity, and Guyton the last lap, just an absolutely blasting lap, gets the gap down to 1.6 seconds. So we're really seeing things tighten up. I think Guyton's kind of maybe been able to learn by following Traber, and Traber's kind of having an issue. Guyton is right there on his tail. So we'll see as they're heading down into turn 7 whether there can be any kind of move made going into the backstretch, and Guyton is right there just ready to challenge for anything.
It's amazing to me how quickly that this lead has kind of continued to either swap places or intervals have come down in such quick succession. I know the wet weather is causing chaos, but obviously that's adding to the excitement of this race. It would have been exciting in the dry, but in the wet, it has been fascinating.
Yeah, it really has. We've seen a lot of variance in the drivers. It's been certainly a mix. Some drivers that really did well in qualifying and practice have found themselves with mistakes, and they're certainly in the mid-pack of the field. Wet races always tend to do that. It can really just mix up and change the way a running order can run. But right now, Traber Burns is doing everything he can to really hold off Jacob Guyton. The gap is certainly closing and closing fast. Guyton had a little bit of a slip up about 4 corners ago, brought the gap back probably to about the same 1.6 that he was, but Guyton has certainly found some speed. He's definitely really pushing onto these corners. It's just a matter of time of whether he can get there. We're looking at, just under 5 minutes remaining, or just over 5 minutes remaining into this session, and top 5 still running. Traber Burns, Guyton, Chia, Max Lotto. Traber Burns, Guyton, Max Lotto, Ryan Chia, and Jason Trantham coming out of the top 5. And there we see David Borden doing everything he can to hold off Greg Meyer, and Michael Wynn's back around. Michael Wynn having a great run is going to find himself dropping from the board. Thankfully, he does have a little bit of a gap to Ken Glasser, who'll get back going But that's unfortunate, seeing him fall out of the top 10. He's now being into 11th, as we're seeing David Borden and Greg Meyer really go at it on the front stretch.
Can we talk real quick while we're watching this awesome battle go and rage into turn one? That Taco Bell scheme looks tremendous. Not so sure about the green rims. It doesn't fit with the Taco Bell scheme, but I still will allow it. Greg Meyer trying to make a move on the outside. A little bit of a switchback right here as they move down into this 180-degree corner number 3. Goes in high, comes down low on the apex, but can't get the move done. Starting to lose a few car lengths here with just 4 minutes to go in this eventful opening race of Season 1 2026 SRG F4.
Yeah, Greg Meyer just really kind of pushing on the curbs. He got into that real tough spot in turn 3. It's been a really well-known wet spot, and unfortunately just can't take it. But there goes off Jason Trantham, I believe, is just dropped off into the grass and was keeping it straight. And yeah, you see him following in behind, but both Greg Meyer and David Borden move up, so they're now running 5th and 6th. Traver Burns still maintaining his gap, has actually pulled away a little bit from Guyton for the lead, just over 2 seconds now, and Max and Lotto 15 seconds behind them, bringing in the current podium. We're looking at just under 4 minutes left, and there goes Greg Meyer with another move on David Borden, and they touch. There's contact. Greg Meyer gets into David Borden. David Borden stuck in the sand trap, able to keep it straight, but that is a major loss of time. That kind of brings up, like we talked about, and there's Greg Meyer off now. He's doing everything he can to run away from Jason Trantham. So that'll certainly be discussed about after the race. That's what we brought up during qualifying, the new points penalty system. Little contacts like that, we'll have to see what's kind of judged on a 1 or a 2 point knocking. Obviously the wet weather does have an effect in that, but just a little over aggressive by Greg Meyer. He's kind of lucky that he didn't turn David and maybe create that into more of a bigger incident. I think these drivers are really just having to give everything they've got. We're looking at just under a few laps to go, just under 3 minutes, and there's all you can do to try and seal up these final finishing positions.
My goodness, I mean, that was just unbelievable racing action right there. The stewards post-race are definitely going to want to take a look at this, but I mean, for the fact that Greg Meyer has not lost it yet, how many times has he gone off track, come back on, had a little bit of a wiggle, right? It just can't go on like that, can it? For him, it definitely seems like it can, but I digress. It's been a fantastic race so far. Traver Burns way out in front, under 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, Jacob Guyton must have had an issue, lost about 4 seconds there. I'm sure either an off track or maybe a quick spin has put him there. Still pretty well into second place, so not too much of an issue, as we do see Traver Burns kind of going by the lap traffic of Shane Chung, who's had a really nice opening run, Shane Chung did, but just kind of found himself in the water a little bit too much, too many spins, and unfortunately kind of back at the pack. So Traver Burns really setting himself to opening race, get the opening win, and we'll see kind of where everything else settles out. I think he's kind of found the handling of the track, which one thing we normally bring up on dry weather, I don't know much on these wet weather tires, but they've got to be getting quite a bit of abuse onto them. The way they're really yawing out, they're sliding the cars. Wet weather tires do have wear to them, and I think that's kind of where we're seeing some of these final lap mishaps start to kind of happen. The tires are just going away.
Yeah, for Greg Meyer to get a top 5 with how this race has gone for him, if he does hold on to that top 5, it's gonna be like a treat. It's gonna be like some escargot, where. By the way, it's a French term for snails. By the way, a fun delicacy. It's a treat. It's a snack. A Greg Meyer top 5 is a treat for how he has not lost control of this race car throughout the rest of this race.
Absolutely,
consistency. You got to throw in some fun terminology in a race like this.
Yeah, the consistency is really kind of proving it for Traver Burns. He's really just run a nice clean race. He hasn't had to do anything too crazy. He did make quite a push to get himself up front, but once he got up front, he had a little bit of a contest from Guyton, but Guyton just not able to do it. And there we see Traver Burns taking the white flag one more time. He has to navigate this Formula 4 machine around the Oschersleben, and I think he's quite fit to do so. So certainly got a nice gap, just under 7 seconds. He'll be able to take his time and kind of manage it. You don't want to back off too much. Sometimes you find yourself making mistakes in that way as well, but he's certainly on set for his first race in the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Series to capture his first checkered flag. Now we're seeing Jose Navas going by himself, running through 11 and 12. Still having to take that line. You can see they're having to go to the curbs a lot more in there. We see Michael Huynh has gone around again, and Jose Navas able to get by. So that is quite a move. Just looks like Michael Huynh maybe just lost it there, but Jose Navas running pretty hard, but he's still not settled for Ken Glasser looking to take his position for 11th. And here we see Traver Burns getting ready to come on the backstretch. A little bit of lap traffic in front of him. He's not going to want to pay his mind. Quite a moment there sliding through. So Traver Burns really taking it on his way through these final few corners.
Yeah, Traver Burns, oh my goodness, right into the chicane, almost losing control of it. I mean, if he got into the back of lap car right there, I would have just said the game's gone. That was a brutal moment that he had to maneuver his way through. But I'll tell you what, Kennen, it's been his race to lose now.
Yeah, absolutely. A little scary moment there on the final lap, but nothing has stopped him. Traver Burns, really dominant performance, is going to take the victory at the Motorsport Arena Oschersleben. His first race of the season and first race in Sim Racers Group Formula 4, and he does take his first checkered flag. Jacob Guyton coming across the line, 6.7 seconds behind. And here we'll see Jason Trantham and David Borden can settle who's going to get 6. Trantham looks inside, or excuse me, that's Chia looking on Max Lotto for 3rd. Max Lotto able to defend. So that'll final out your podium there with Max Lotto taking the checkered and Greg Meyer coming across as well to round out the top 5. That was quite an interesting race there, Dylan. A lot of topsy-turvy, ton of track position changes. So what are you really thinking? There it is, the Taco Bell gong. That is always a beautiful sound for one of the best liveries we have on the field.
We just heard the Taco Bell dong. I love that. I love that very much. That was an awesome race, and you know, this entire event was really unique, right? For a start of the season kind of deal. We still have a few more cars to cross the line, cross the stripe here, as this clock will continue to inch its way towards a 23-minute event. But I'll tell you what, Traver Burns, an absolutely phenomenal show and display from him. Jacob Guyton, yeah, 6.7 seconds off, but just, you know, it just didn't have that race-winning speed over the course of this short 20-minute race. Walker Fultz is going to be the last driver to have to cross the line. It's been fun, Kennen.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're absolutely right about Jacob Guyton. He put on a really nice drive. He did have a little bit of a gap to Traver, but at the end of the day, it's a 12-week season. You get 2 drop weeks. It's certainly a good feeling to take second place and know that you won't really have to use a rain race to throw away. That's a nice job of really maximizing points, and we really got to give a shout out to our hard charger here, which was Jason Trantham, up 5. Started in 14th, up 5 positions, finishes up 9th. But then Max Lotto also up 4 positions from what was really a challenging qualifying session for him. So it was nice to see him to be able to get a podium finish. 2 of our top 3 finishers tonight are new drivers to the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Series. So with such a field of a lot of returning members, the competition's only been increased, and I think things will be certainly high. That's quite an incredible start to the season. Such a wet weathered race like that. It's one thing to kind of see a little bit of wet weather, maybe a storm comes through, dampens up the track, but they really just raced in an absolute downpour today. It was really something incredible to see. And so now we'll take a moment and we'll look at our final results and go over our finishing order. And as we know, Traver Burns, your victor today by 6.7 seconds over Jacob Guyton in second. Max Lotto taking up the bottom step of the podium in an absolutely beautiful opening run, and really a nice comeback from having the fastest lap in practice. We got Ryan Chia, Greg Meyer taking out the top 5, both top drivers from last season. They're good to get off to a nice start as well. David Borden 6th, Aaron Van Wagner 7th, Sarv Vase 8th, Jason Trantham 9th, David Hirsch 10th, Kim Glasser 11th, Jose Navas with a difficult run finishing 12th, Michael Wynn we also saw with a few missteps finishing in 13th, Walker Foltz, Brian Rice, Albert Diaz, Shane Chung, and Bob Eggert round out the finishing order there for 18, finishing 8 laps down. And actually our 3, which I don't think did start the race, Rudy Samudio, Cy Nathan, Christopher Yee, I don't think actually did take the lights out today. So pretty amazing. We'll step into the interview area here, and it looks like we do have Jacob Guyton coming in, our second place finisher. So we'll bring him in. I'll speak with Jacob Guyton for a minute, and we'll see how he's feeling after today. Hey, Jacob, this is Kennen. It was nice to see you after such a wet race. I'm sure you're excited to maybe go dry off after this one, but being able to come in second place, you were able to start on pole. Obviously got into a little fight with Traver Burns, but how are you feeling after today's result?
Soaked. That track was super wet. We raced it last season, but it was starting to dry, so it was a little deceiving. And I did not do very well. But today felt a lot better. Something kind of clicked, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looked like you were having a lot of fun out there. You really made a mid-race push after losing the lead. It seemed like you were kind of finding time, and then just kind of had to back out of it a little bit in a few spots. We watched it all throughout the field. There was just so many areas where the puddles crossed the track. There wasn't much that you could really do to avoid it. But overall, this being the first round of the season, we're obviously going to the Hungaro ring next week, and hopefully that'll be a little drier scenario. Do you feel like you got off to the kind of opening that you wanted to have today?
Oh yeah, definitely. Great opening for this season. Not too much of a fan of Hungaro ring, but we'll see how it goes, and wouldn't mind another wet race, seeing how this one went. But yeah, if it's dry, then maybe we'll get some faster racing.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do feel on that the wet racing can really open up the cards. And today I'm glad to see that it worked in your favor. And before we let you jump off of here, you want to give a shout out to a sponsor, fan, anybody, and we'll let you be on your way so you can go dry off.
Thank you to my girlfriend and my friends and family that watch. Thank you to you guys, and glad to be back and back in the saddle.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jacob. We appreciate your time. Second place finisher, started on the pole today, Jacob Guyton. So really well done job from him. I think you could kind of almost hear it in his voice. He sounded almost a little worn out after that 20-minute race. I'm sure fighting the wheel through all the slipping and sliding kind of really takes it out of you. And let's bring in, I think Dylan might be down with our fourth place finisher, Ryan Chia.
Yeah, we're alongside Ryan Chia right now, and Ryan, almost a podium spot. That race was absolute chaos.
Yes, it was. Although I heard it was a lot more chaotic behind me.
You know, I feel like whenever you start a race and it is torrential conditions, you're always just hoping that turn one, lap one is going to go smooth behind you. Luckily for you, it seems like it definitely did. You gained one spot throughout. Not as much chaos in front.
No, it was a lot nicer up front. It was more of a manage your own race, which I did not do a great job at doing, but I survived. I'm happy. I love these rain races.
So we're talking about the upcoming rest of the season. What are the tracks you would say are your top tier? You feel like you're going to be good right out of the gate.
The gate? Oof. I don't know. Let's see. I think Rudskogen might be one that I'm pretty confident at, but we'll see. Monza, I won last season, but that was raining, and it was probably going to rain again. So. Hey
man, the moment you say it's not gonna rain is when it rains, so it's a good idea to try that reverse commentator's curse, or in your case, the reverse driver's curse. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Oh, shout out to SRG, shout out to you guys. Thank you for putting on this production. It's great. I love rewatching these. And yeah, look forward to next week.
Awesome. Looking forward to seeing you back out on the track in a week's time. That is Ryan Chia. Congrats once again on P4.
Thank you.
All right, Kennen. I think we've got one more driver that has decided they want to be talked to today. That's going to be the 7th place finisher in Aaron Van Wagner.
Yeah, I've been able to catch up with Aaron Van Wagner here. Had a nice mid-pack run, our 7th place finisher today, started 9th on the grid. Aaron, you obviously were in the midst of quite a little battle there with David Bordenservais and Jason Trantham. Got to see quite a bit of action kind of hovering around that 7th place position. How did you see things from your eyes, obviously in such difficult track conditions?
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like that was happening kind of just far enough ahead of me where I didn't have the pace to even battle those guys. So it was really just more me like hoping and praying that something bad happened. And the only thing I did is try to keep everybody behind me and not have any incidents. I did get hit from the behind at the turn 1 first lap. But luckily the guy who hit me ended up keeping his foot in the gas, it looks like. So he kind of pushed me back around. So I think I only lost like 2 or 3 spots at the beginning. But other than that, it was just kind of watching people spin in front of me and taking advantage and trying to be as close as I can to, pick up those scraps. So that was my strategy tonight. And yeah, kind of worked, I guess. Would have been nicer to be closer to the front, but, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, absolutely. And being the first race of the season, there's certainly 11 more weeks to go. So a lot of ways things can change, but you're absolutely right. To come out of this race with only 4 incidents is really quite remarkable. Just looking down the list of other drivers with incidents, there was many spins, many off tracks, a lot of different opportunities that you could have found yourself sitting in a sand trap. So really well done on that part, and kind of looking forward to next week. We go to the Hungaro Ring. How do you feel your odds are there? And just overall coming away with 7th today, your start to the Formula 4 season.
Yeah, I mean, not to brag or anything, but I won there last season, so I feel amazing about it, but we'll see if I'll eat those words next week. But I love the Hungaro Ring, and yeah, was super happy to see that on the calendar. And yeah, about today, I kind of looking at my time, I figured I'd finish somewhere between 7th and 10th. Because everybody in front of me I just couldn't find their pace. So yeah, really happy for today. Looking forward to next week.
Absolutely. And that should be something I should know, that you won last season there, but I've certainly got your name marked down. You'll have to be going in next week as the front runner now. So that is something we'll look forward to, and we'll make sure to overhype it so we can see how we create a commentator's curse on you. But before we let you go, so you can go drying off, love to see you give a shout out. Thank sponsors. Anybody you want to take a moment and say thank you to?
Yeah, I got to thank Bluey and his family for the new livery sponsoring me this year. Really happy about that. Came through. Thanks to Jason and all the guys. Love racing with these guys. I'm always looking forward to these new seasons. So super glad to be a part of this thing, and I'm really thankful for you guys as well.
Oh, well, thank you. You guys really put on a fantastic show. It makes our job really easy up here. And yeah, the Sim Racers group community, it just seems like it grows day by day. And it's quite incredible to kind of see how it's all become and just the exact racing we really get. So, Aaron, really well done. Way to keep the car clean. I know the team's going to be proud of that. 7th place is a nice start to the season, and we look forward to seeing you dominate again next weekend at the Hungaro Ring.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Have a good one.
Cheers. Thank you.
All right, bye.
So always nice to be able to catch up with our racing drivers there and see how they're really feeling post-race, especially on such a difficult track like today. And we certainly appreciate all of our viewers out there. Everybody, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure to click the subscribe button. We appreciate you watching. We've got all sorts of productions that we do on slow motion broadcasting, not just these beautiful Sim Racers Group Formula 4 race cars, but let's take a look now. As you can see on the screen, what we've got coming up the rest of the week. Tomorrow at 8:10 Eastern, we've got the XMS Ferrari Road and Oval Challenge live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course. And at 10 o'clock Eastern, we'll see the Sim Racers Group in their Formula 3 series racing at the Virginia International Raceway. And then on the weekend, we've got the Weekend Warriors Formula V Saturday, 2:30 p.m., the Snetterton 300. That's always a really good event and definitely one you want to tune in for. And then Sunday night, the Cross Series Racing League is live from the Virginia International Raceway with our broadcast going live at 8:10 Eastern. And then next week, Dylan and I will return. We'll be back for round 2 of the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 series live from the Hungaro Ring. So quite a good race, Dylan. We really enjoyed the time getting to spend together and just a really interesting broadcast. And congratulations again to Traber Burns on their victory today. We look forward to seeing you all next week from the Hengaro ring. Good night.